Some have called him crazy, and his eccentricities continue to provide grist for gossip columnists, biographers, and the curious. But no one will deny he was one of the most unique individuals of modern times. So says Judy Rummerman, author of The Hughes Companies. I'd like to take this opportunity to inform you about the life of Howard Hughes, highlighting the dichotomy of his personality. Hughes was at once brilliant and mentally ill, philanthropic and extravagant, outgoing and reclusive. I'll begin by telling you a little about Howard Hughes. There is little doubt that Howard Hughes was a brilliant man. At the age of 11, Hughes built Houston's first radio transmitter. At 12, he built a motorized bicycle using parts from a steam engine, and at 14, he took his first flying lesson. Later in life, he was involved in the development and manufacture of airplanes, helicopters, satellites, spacecraft, weaponry, and communications equipment, eventually turning a 4-person operation into an 80,000 employee company, according to the U.S. government of Centennial Flight Commission. Over the course of 5 years, Hughes conceived and built a very large flying boat, the Spruce Goose. It was made of birch and remains to this day the largest aircraft ever built. This is a picture of the Spruce Goose, and it shows how it compares to other modern-day airplanes. Spruce Goose is plain on top. As you can see, it's taller, wider, and has a larger wingspan than present-day aircraft. According to the Chicago Tribune, the Spruce Goose flew only 1 minute in 1947 and over a distance of about a mile. But 1 mile was enough to silence Hughes' critics, who did not think it could be done. Despite his brilliance, Howard Hughes also lived a life plagued by worsening mental illness. According to the American Psychological Association, Hughes had an irrational fear of germs that got progressively worse over the course of his lifetime. 3 factors have been proposed as contributors to this mental illness. First, as a child, Hughes' mother was obsessed about his health, lending her to check him for diseases daily and closely monitor what he ate. Hughes was also involved in multiple aircraft crashes. The possibility exists that these crashes resulted in untreated brain injuries. What's more, Hughes began taking painkillers due to the pain caused by the injuries sustained during the crashes, resulting in a lifelong dependence on prescription drugs. Third, Hughes was diagnosed with syphilis in his 50s, according to the online Nevada Encyclopedia. This affected his brain, resulting in irritability, delusions, and carelessness about personal hygiene. To keep himself germ-free, Hughes adopted strange rituals and spent many of his later years in isolation, allowing only infrequent contact with aides who were operating under strict orders. For example, he provided his staff with the following instructions for opening a can of peaches. First, remove the label from the can. Next, scrub the can down to the bare metal. Then wash the can again before opening it. And finally, pour the contents into the bowl without touching the can to the bowl. Despite the fact that Hughes forced his aides to wash their hands, he frequently used layers of paper towels to keep from touching his food and adopt over-the-top measures. He rarely bathed or brushed his teeth, and he frequently cut his hair and nails. Hughes was in deplorable health at the time of his death, weighing only 93 pounds at 6 foot 4 inches tall. Despite his mental illness, and due largely to his brilliance, Hughes was a cunning businessman who became a self-made billionaire, using his income for both charitable and extravagant endeavors. In one of his sole but monumental acts of philanthropy, Hughes founded the Howard Hughes Medical Institute in 1953. According to its website, the Howard Hughes Medical Institute now employs more than 1,000 people, has an endowment of $14.8 billion, and is the second largest medical institute in the world. Conversely, examples of Hughes's extravagance are easier to spot. In his early 20s, Hughes became heavily involved in the Hollywood film industry. Upon completion of the movie Hell's Angels, this is a movie poster of the movie Hell's Angels. Hughes learned that sound had been introduced into the movie business after he completed the movie. He ordered the entire film reshot, making the movie took over 20,000 people and cost about $3.8 million. It was the most expensive movie to date. By the late 1960s, Hughes had spent $65 million to purchase casinos on the Las Vegas Strip, as well as other hotels and businesses throughout Nevada. Hughes' purchases included the Castaways, the New Frontier, the Landmark, the Harold's Club Casino, and the Sands Hotel. This is a picture of the old Sands Hotel. It was tore down in 1996 to make way for the Venetian. In its heyday, Hughes owned 20% of the hotel rooms on the Las Vegas Strip. In his younger years, Hughes used his fame and fortune to support his playboy lifestyle. However, he eventually became a recluse, venturing out only infrequently. Upon moving to Los Angeles in his early 20s, Hughes began partying at nightclubs and dating Hollywood starlets. This included Katharine Hepburn, Betty Davis, Ginger Rogers, and Ava Gardner. Hughes first exhibited signs of extreme exclusiveness in his early 40s. He locked himself in a film screening room in California, where he became recluse for 4 months without leaving, surviving only on chocolate bars and milk that were brought to him by his aides. In his late 50s, he moved to a highly guarded mansion in the wealthy Bel Air section of Los Angeles. He infrequently left his home. In his early 60s, Hughes arrived in Las Vegas, Nevada, and began to rent a suite on the 9th floor of the Desert Inn Hotel and Casino. When the casino owner asked him to leave weeks later, Hughes instead bought the casino. He remained in the suite for the next 4 years, emerging only to move to the Bahamas in the 1970s. 6 years later, at the age of 70, Hughes was found unconscious in his hotel room in Mexico and rushed by plane to Houston. He was pronounced dead during the flight. Today I've informed you about the life of Howard Hughes, an aviator, industrialist, movie maker, and all-around interesting individual. I hope that you have a better understanding of the life of Howard Hughes, which was replete with brilliance, mental illness, philanthropy, extravagance, extroversion, and introversion. Hughes himself put it best when he said, "I'm not a paranoid, deranged millionaire. God damn it, I'm a billionaire." These are my note cards here.